theyeshiva.net.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Morning, good morning. Thank you for gracing us. So we are on Daf Samach Aleph, right? On top it says Drushim L'Rosh Hashanah, page 121. So if you have a family of children or a class of children, it's likely that at some point one of them will ask the question, so God created the world, and who created God? In debates often between, so to speak, atheists and believers, so-called, it was like the believers will say, well, the world needs a creator. It's intelligent design, and it's so intricate and so organized. They'll say, okay, so now you're back to square one. So who created your creator? For your creator to be so good, he also had to be organized and created. So who created your creator? So this is like the old question. And the truth is, children ask this a lot, and often adults stumble with it because they don't know how to deal with it. The truth is, of course, that yeah. The Rambam and Meir Nevuchim, yeah. Thank you. By definition, the creator of a system is outside of that system. For example, the creator of a computer is not inside the computer, running around in the computer, moving around codes and numbers. Even the creator of a table is not inside the table. The creator of a system, any object, any item, the most sophisticated and the most simple, is usually outside of it. The definition of the world is what we call today a continuum of space, time, and matter, which means there is space, which we call makom, there's time, which we call zman, and there is matter, which is the material of the universe, whatever that material is, tangible or intangible, that which we could see and that which we can't see, that which you could see with a telescope or a microscope, and that which you could see with your visible eye. And all three are what called a continuum, which means they're dependent on each other. Because if you have matter, you need space. If not, where is the matter? And if you have matter and you have space, you have time. If not, when? When is the matter? And it's all in the first pasuk. Bereshis, bara Elokim, es hashamayim, ve'es ha'aretz. Which one possible interpretation is Bereshis is the beginning, time, es hashamayim, heaven, which includes everything of space, and es ha'aretz, which is matter. So it's all there, mamish, in the first verse. And the creator, by definition, to create is not something of matter, not something of space, not something of time, and therefore can be the source for matter, for space, and for time. With this, the Rambam and many of the other Rishonim maintain that from the Jewish perspective, Zman is a nivra. Time is a created reality, just as matter is a created reality, just as space is a created reality. Makom is created and Zman is created. The Arizal writes in Chaim that people ask, why didn't God create the world earlier than he created it? We say the world was created 9 years ago. But really the date doesn't matter. Why not a year earlier? Why not 1,000,000 years earlier? Those who maintain different ages, why that age? Yeah, according to the theory of Big Bang, suddenly at some point there was so much pressure. Really? If this prebiotic soup, if this little nakuda was around forever, so at what point was there so much pressure? So it wasn't around forever. At some point it was around, and then 15.3 billion years ago it plotzed. Why? It became impatient. It was too bored. How long was it around to be so bored, to become impatient, to have so much pressure? Infinite? Can't be. What happened suddenly? So there was some point. What brought it at that point? What happened? So Arizal asks the question, he says, why was there a time when the world was created? Why didn't Hashem create it 1,000,000 years earlier? Billion years earlier? 50 billion years earlier? 100 billion years earlier? I don't know when. And he answers, and he says that this is an Eitz Chaim, and he says that the question is a non-starter because time is also a creation. In other words, before creation, there was no before. The very concept of before is also part of creation because time is a creation. So therefore, before the world, there was no concept of before. It's before there was a before. Right, so over there, so you ask them about all the computers over there, it's yesh me yesh. In other words, they exist already, there's matter and there's time, and then we develop within that, because we live in that realm. Within time. We create within Zman, right. That's true, yeah. One step deeper we learned, not only that Zman is a creation and the creator is beyond time, and therefore beyond the other properties of creation which allows him to create it, but that Zman itself is rooted, that time itself is a relative phenomenon, as he discusses in the Maimon. It begins in the concept called Ratzei V'Shoiv, right? Ratzei V'Shoiv means that the divine energy, when it wants to, when Hashem, so to speak, is Shah, Miloshin Vayisha, the hour, Shah means when the divine energy is focused, is tuned in to create and vivify the worlds, it goes through a paradoxical conflict, so to speak, which is called Ratzei and Shoiv. Ratzei is the yearning to return to its source. Teshuvah is the recognition and the conviction that it has to return to its destination. You can't go home, you have to go back to your destination. It's that Ratzei V'Shoiv which is the heartbeat of the universe. Just like it's the Ratzei V'Shoiv, which is the heartbeat of the living organism of the human being, which we call the heartbeat, the Doifek Halev. It's also this dual identity of Ratzei and Shuv, or contraction and expansion, or going back to its source and then leaving its source and tailoring itself to the needs of the universe. Ratzei V'Shoiv essentially are opposites. They're completely opposites. How do we deal with opposites in our realm? In the world of finite properties and finite concepts, how do we deal with paradoxes? How do we deal with opposites? Right? So God's brilliant invention was time. Time is the best way to deal with opposites. This happened 6 o'clock in the morning, and this happened 7 o'clock in the morning. So it's not a problem anymore. So time becomes, fascinatingly, according to the Balatanya, the manifestation, the way that paradox can be contained in a world that is allergic to paradoxes, a world that deals with finiteness. Time. This happened. You're in Australia, you're in New York. Oh, yesterday I was in Australia, and today I was in New York. How, in your dream, you can be in Australia and in New York at the same time. Huh? Or in your daydream, let's put it that way, in your daydream. But in the world, because we live in the place of makaymus mugbalim. There's the limits of time, there's the limits of space which work together. So time becomes the facilitator of paradoxes, because you could say, yesterday or last year I was this age, and now I'm the new age. Even the clock itself, an hour ago was 5, now it's 6. So that's how Zman becomes the conduit through which paradoxes can coexist in time. That's what he says. It's a fascinating concept. So it means essentially that the closer you go to the place where paradoxes can exist, right, the more you go away from the limitations of time the way we see it. And as he puts it, the more the energy devolves into more concrete worlds, the more time becomes expanded and becomes fixed, until in this world where we have Zman, the way Zman exists, which is why the higher you go up in the world of Yitzira, we said, 15 years is a day, Ki elef shanim beinecha ki yom esmel, 1,000 years could be a day, until you come to a point where Avar, Hoiva, and Asid are all one seminal point and they're indivisible. Literally, the whole time becomes crunched up into a seminal point. And then there's, of course, that which is completely beyond Zman. The Boirei himself, the Creator himself, was completely beyond Zman. You can have something paradoxical happening at the same moment. That's exactly the point. But the way I will capture it, if I want to capture it, unless I go crazy, is that time is the reality that becomes the conduit for paradox. Or what he puts here, Rotzoi and Shoif. Oh, this was an hour ago and this was now. Of course, for the Ein Sof, it's not an hour ago and now. As he puts it from the Haftarah from Yeshaya, that was actually last Shabbos, right? Berega kotoin azaftich, uverachamim gdoilim akaptzich. The whole Golus is defined as a rega koton, which means a small second, or I don't know, call it a millisecond or a nanosecond, really? Berega koton, it's mamash arega, not from our perspective. Not from our perspective. It's a bitter rega, right? It was a bitter rega. But the point is that time itself is mamash an issue of perspective. And I elaborated in previous classes the fascinating thing, how the more science and physics is studying time, the more we're discovering that time is another dimension of everything, and it mamash changes. It literally changes.
Perhaps there's also a Musar Haskell for us in that all of us at points in our lives come to some moments where life changes in an instant. In some mamish, 1 second life is one way, it can be for good, it can be for bad. And in a sense, what you're saying is, at those moments, we're really tasting something very, very divine. The ability to see to see the time mamish can be like.
Right. It doesn't take 1,000 years. Right. Right. Yeah. So now let's see further inside. We're holding the line is Ela Zecher Ba'alma. It's like 10 lines from the bottom. Samach Aleph Kalam 1. The Maimer on Keil Kamocha from Tashlach. Ukeshayasim Ha'adam. Ela Zecher Ba'alma. Yala v'yavoi v'zichrenenu she'eni Ela Zecher Ba'alma. Balatan Yosef brought out another point that we have to mention here, and that is that Ani Hashem Lo Shanisi, I haven't changed, as the Pasuk in Malachi says, or we say in the morning, Atuhu Achaloi Nivra Olam, Atuhu Mishanivra Olam. You're the same pre-creation, after creation. Or we say in Vayevarech David every morning, Atuhu Hashem Levadecha. Doesn't only mean that there is one God. What it means is that the state of pre-creation is always present. It's always a question of perception. So therefore, the Lamaila Mehazman, the reality that transcends time, is always present. It's just a question of how much perception there is. The deeper one perceives the truth of the universe, the more a person goes to a place where time contracts and shrinks, and 1,000 years is one day, or a rega cotton, it's just a rega cotton, until a place where all of our hoiva and asid, past, present, and future become one, until a place which is l'mayla ben azman. It's not pshat, this is some remote realm that we could maybe not even understand, but just talk about perhaps, but rather, Ato Hashem levadecha, creation did not change that oneness, that unity. It's a question of perception as a result of the contraction and the filters and the zman that we experienced. As he puts it, that the Gemara says the whole Olam Haba was created by a Hey, the whole Olam Haba was created by a Yud, and the whole Olam Haba, this world was created by a Hey. The whole order of time, including Mashiach and Chiyas HaMesim, is basically described as a Yud and a Hey. And think in a person, how much space the Yud and the Hey, one letter, occupies in the presence of all the words that you utter throughout your life and all the words that you could utter throughout your life, never mind all the thoughts that you can have throughout. They're there. The Aleph and the Hey and the Yud are there. We're not saying they're non-existent. But to give them the ultimate reality is the You that transcends those words and those letters. So the Balatanya now continues. Ukeshayasim. You see, the line is Ela Zecher Ba'alma Ukeshayasim Adam. Ukeshayasim Adam Advarim Me'ela Liboy. When a person could really take these words to heart, Shekol Ha'olam Hu Tachas Hazman, the entire cosmos, the entire world, the universe, of course the planet as well, is under time. Under time means it's in the realm of time. That's the realm with which we operate in. We operate in Zman. I don't know how to go out of Zman. It would be nice. But that's the Olam. The definition of Olam is Zman. We live under the tyranny of time, right? Good luck. Good luck trying to escape it. It's impossible. That itself is part of Zman. Trying to escape time also takes time. Everything is time. What do they say in America? Time is money. That's the best way America can describe time, right? Time is money. Time is life. That's the point. The Olam is Tachas Hazman. V'Hazman hu nechshav keregel lefonav Yisbarach. And the whole Zman, from the beginning, is considered by Hashem a rega, a moment, shehu l'mayla mehazman, because he's beyond time. Ve'ein lefonav shum hischalkus zman klal. So the entire division of time exists in our presence, but ein lefonav in his presence. There is no division of Zman. Shum hischalkus zman klal, because even in creation, again, even in the world of creation, the deeper you go, the higher you go, Zman is contracted. I told you about experiments where they discussed that 50 years could be a day. The Tehillim says 1,000 years could be a day. And you come to a point where Avar, Hoiva, and Asir are one. And then a point which is completely L'mayla min Azman. So the whole is Schalkus. The Schalkus is the division of Zman is Ein Lefonov. V'hoisa b'libai. Ki yichud eish b'y eres. V'tichle nafshe l'dafka b'y yizbarach. When a person really takes this to heart, then one's heart may become ki yichud eish, like a flam fire, a burning fire. V'tichle nafshe, his heart yearns l'dafka, to connect with the truth, with him, with Hashem's truth, with Hashem's reality, which is completely not defined by time. V'zeu, and that's the meaning of the statement of the Chazal, who say both in the Medrash, Bereshis, Rabbi Bereshis, and also Gemara in Pesachim Nun Dalet, Teshuvah kadma la'olam. Teshuvah precedes the universe. She'ein apir sh'oisa koydem b'riyas ha'olam. Doesn't mean literally that Teshuvah, before Hashem created the world, he first thought about, or he created the concept of Teshuvah. Why? She'im ein olam, ein avon, asher chata ve'ein Teshuvah. The whole need for Teshuvah is because there was corruption, distortion, which came from a world. God doesn't sin. So im ein olam, if there's no world, ein avon, there's no sin. Asher chata, that he sinned, melev ein Teshuvah, you don't need Teshuvah. When do you need Teshuvah? You need Teshuvah if you made a mistake, if there was a transgression, if there was a violation. So now you have to say, I'm sorry. Teshuvah kadma la'olam. What do you mean Teshuvah kadma la'olam? Before the world, there's no need for Teshuvah. The whole reason for Teshuvah is because there's a world. It's not like Teshuvah has a value outside of the world. Two people meet the first time. You say, let me do Teshuvah. What are you doing Teshuvah for? There was no problem yet. Once we're in a relationship, I hurt you, you hurt me. There's Teshuvah. Teshuvah kadma la'olam. It's not like Teshuvah is an essential concept that is an ideal concept. The whole concept of Teshuvah is because there was a problem, because there was a breakdown in communication or in relationship or in trust. So what do the Chazal mean when they say Teshuvah precedes the world?
Perhaps it's a mechanism for the Lord to create himself, to allow an error.
So the Balatanya explains the Pshat is Elo ha'inyan she'teshuvah b'klois ha'nefesh hu l'mayla mehazman v'ha'olam. The essence of Teshuvah is the ability of a person at every moment to go to a place that's beyond moments, to go to a place that's beyond space and beyond time. That's what Teshuvah means. Teshuvah in its ultimate sense is kadma la'olam. It's rooted in the ability to be able, b'klois hanefesh, with the yearning of the soul, to go to a place that's lamayla mehazman, beyond the definitions of time and beyond the definitions of space. What's pshat? Shehu ledafka bo yizbarach. Teshuvah is the ability to have dveikus, oneness, with Him, with Hashem, ba'erein seif baruch Hu, with the light of infinity. Blessed be He, she'ein lefon of shum hischalkus man klal, where there's no division of time whatsoever. The whole division, the whole concept of time does not exist. Remember, time is only a dimension. Once there's Rotzoy and Shoiv, so the way it's translated into lower realities is Zman. And therefore, the more the dimensions expand from the brute physical to the deeper divine, the more Zman becomes condensed to the point that it becomes one seminal point. And even that, we still speak of Zman, it's just condensed to an nth degree. But then there's something called beyond Zman. So B'meileh, he says, the dveikus in Einin Seif Baruch Hu, she'ein lefon of shum ischalkus man klal, that ability for dveikus to go to a place that's beyond time. Shemachmas is beinenus hazeh, boli de Teshuvah b'klois hanefesh. It's this very hisbeinenus, it's this very contemplation that evokes this type of Teshuvah. Kamocha Kosov. Like the Pasuk says in Malachi, Malachi was the last prophet of the Jewish people who lived in the times of Mordechai and Esther and the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah who rebuilt the second base, revitalized the Jewish people when they rebuilt the second base of Mikdash. The last prophet of Tanakh, you have Chagai, Zechariah, and Malachi. So one of the last prophecies is he says these words, Ani Hashem lo shanisi, va'atem b'nei Yaakov lo chilisam. I, God, have not changed, and you, the children of Yaakov, have not died, have not expired. Literally, it's a commentary on Jewish history. I'm alive, you're alive. In other words, in order to kill out the Jewish people, God is saying you'll have to first kill God. Which some of the great anti-Semites of history understood actually pretty well. Which was their obsession to get rid of the Jewish people. It wasn't just about a Jew, it was about what the Jew represented. So this is what the Navi says, Ani Hashem lo shanisi, I haven't become old, I haven't changed. Va'atem, you, b'nei Yaakov lo chilisam. Chilisam from the word kilion, you haven't ceased, you haven't ended. Nobody ended you. They tried to end you, but nobody ended you. This is what Malachi says. The Balatanya teaches kilisam deeper. The word kilisam comes from the word klois hanefesh. Klois hanefesh is the yearning of the soul. Like nichsefa v'gam kol sanafshi, my soul in Yiddish, gate ois, it yearns, it pines. Ani Hashem lo shanisi v'atem b'nei Yaakov, this is a pirush, she'ein lechem klois hanefesh. Ani Hashem lo shanisi v'atem b'nei Yaakov lo chilisam. How can it be, It's like a question, A question, yeah. Ani Hashem lo shanisi v'atem b'nei Yaakov lo chilisam. How could you not experience klois hanefesh if you will become aware that Ani Hashem lo shanisi? Of course, as he puts it before, a person has to be able to deher in the depth of his heart that Ani Hashem lo shanisi. If it's just another Torah, another Shir that he barely understands, so it's very hard to have kilisa. But he's saying, Ani Hashem lo shanisi. How are you not moved? Like, how are you not moved by this? It's like a fascinating question God is saying. When you realize this truth, how could you not be moved? How could you not be affected? How could you not be transformed? How could you remain kalt-blutig? How do you remain in your chair, cold-blooded? And you don't leap out of your space, out of your comfort zone. Ani Hashem lo shanisi, va'atem b'nei Yaakov lo chilisam, azoi kalt-blutig you could be. How could that happen that you're really unmoved? Okay, we'll see. Pirush, she'ein lechem klois hanefesh. Harei sheklois hanefesh hu machmas shelo shanisi. Yeah, should be. Klois hanefesh should be because lo shanisi. That's the Teshuvah. Teshuvah is that the lo shanisi, which represents the truth that's beyond Zman, creates a fire and a yearning that I don't want to live in the world of Zman. I want to have dveikus in that which is Lamayla min Hazman, because all of Zman is one rega, it's like a moment. It's like if I ask a person, do you want to invest your whole portfolio, all your money, all your energy, all your resources, in a business that's going to last for a day? It's going to fold up after a day. All your savings, everything. It's a joke. People do it, but nebach. What about a business going to last for an hour? What about business going to last for a minute? What about business going to last for a second? But not only your money, your time, your energy, your space, your ego, your resources, your creativity, everything there. So everybody understands that's not going to work. Balatanya says all of history, all of Zman is one rega. It's one rega. He says, I want to go to that which is Lamayla min Hazman. I want to touch that which is beyond time. The whole Zman is one big rega. The arrow of time, even though it's so long, it's one small rega. Even though from our perception, it's not one rega. So this is what Teshuvah is. Teshuvah is kadma la'olam. It takes you to a place. It's the desire to go to a place that's beyond makom and Zman. But 1 second. But we live in time. So what is this? So you go crazy? It says no. Through this, one brings the lamayla min hazman in zman. One brings godliness into the world. And as he said, the more godliness, the deeper you go in time. Time contracts. You bring the godliness into the world to create a dwelling place, a dira, home for him in the lower elements of reality. Kamocha, as the pasuk says, you should observe all my mitzvahs and do them. So the Zohar says, atem ksiv. Oisam is written without a vav. In a Sefer Torah, there's no vowels. So you can read it also as oisam, you can read it as atem. We have it in different places in Chazal when it says, for example, Mikroi kodesh asher tikru oisam b'mayadam. The Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, al tikru oisam ela atem, asher tikru atem. Atem afilu shegigin, atem afilu mezidin, atem afilu mutayim. So the Gezoyer says, V'asisem oisam is very different. V'asisem atem. Literally it means, V'asisem oisam, you should do them, you should do the mitzvahs. V'asisem atem chas ksiv, chaser vav, v'amr razal al tikra oisam ala atem, mayla le'em akosov kilu asa'uni. It's like you make the mitzvah, shmartem oisam, shmartem es mitzvah, v'asisem atem. It's like you make it, you create it. Not just you observe it, you do it. V'asisem oisam, but v'asisem atem, you make it.
So our response to this bonus is that he wants us to also do Rosh. We should take that and Yamshich our show.
Yeah, our show.
Our Rosh is the close, and then our show is the Yamshich.
Yeah. Bring down the Lamayla min Hazman into Zman. Uksiv, the pasuk says in Tehillim, Kapitel Tazayin, Yudvav is Tazayin. Shivisi Hashem lenegdi samid. Shivisi Hashem lenegdi samid literally means I place Hashem before me constantly. But Shehu Pirush Kamoya Sisi. Shivisi doesn't only mean, the word Shivisi actually means I make it. Kamoy Hoid v'Hadar Teshava Alav and Tehillim Chafalov. You place on him, you make on him Hoid, glory, Hadar, splendor. The pasuk says in Shmuel Beis, Vayaz David Shem. David made a name. Literally, it means he made a name for himself with all of his kindness. But the Zohar says Vayaz David Shem means he made the shame. Shekol Iker Kavanasai Lasas Shem. He made the name of Yudkei Vavke. He made it. That's what he's saying. Shivisi Hashem. I make Yudkei Vavke. Keilu Asauni Vasisim Atam. What does this mean? You make the name. Which name do you make the name of Hashem? Shivisi Hashem lenegdi somebody. I make the name. So he starts explaining this. Olahavin zetzarich lahavin pirish l'shem yichud k'shubrichu shenisyasit koydem atfila leyachad Hashem yudkei bevavke b'yichud shlim. Before davening, and many say it before many mitzvahs, we say the famous l'shem yichud. What's the l'shem yichud? So he said l'shem yichud k'shubrichu u'shchinte leyachada. Shem Yudkei Bevavkei B'Yichud Shlim B'Shem Kol Yisrael. So it's one of those tefillahs that you say. Many paid say it before almost every mitzvah they do. or before davening, as the nusach of the Baal HaTanya, before Baruch Shamar, you say the L'Shem Yichud. What is it really? What are you really saying? What does this mean? I'm doing this for the unity of Kutsha Brichu and Shchinte to connect Yudke and Vavke b'Yichud Shlim with a wholesome unity. V'gam lahavin pirush oisis shel Shem Havaya Baruch Hu, which of course requires also to understand what are these letters. You want to connect Yudke, Vavke, so you have to know what's Yudke and Vavke. And you're doing it for the Yichud, and you want Yichud Shlim, and you want it to be B'Shem Kol Yisrael. Dihine hayud meira la tzimtzum. Yud, which is the smallest letter in the alphabet, and it looks like a seminal point, basically is like that seminal point. If you'll see a picture of, so to speak, what the universe was supposed to look like before it exploded, before the Big Bang, you have that little Yud. It's a nekuda, like a cholent bean, a little marble, right? A little tiny little ball. It's a little nekuda, it's a little seminal point. Hayud meira la tzimtzum. The Yud represents ultimate contraction. Everything is contracted into one point, but everything is contracted into that. It's not nothing. There's a lot there. Everything is there, but it's betzimtzum. Ki ikir ha-Torah v'ha-mitzvos. Liyas le'dire b'tachtoinim. V'chalo olam es-alyonim b'tachtoinim heim b'zman. Because the whole Torah mitzvahs, or at least much of Torah mitzvahs, lives in time. If you say there's no Zman, so what happens to Zman Krishma? What happens to Zman Tefillah? What happens to Shachris Mincha Ma'ariv? What happens to Shabbos? What happens to Yom Tov? There's no Rosh Chodesh, so there's no Rosh Hashanah, so there's no Yom Kippur, so there's no Sukkot. But we're talking about Torah mitzvahs. Torah mitzvahs is Hashem's Ratzon, Hashem's Chachma. It's time. Mitzvahs, not all mitzvahs have Zman Grama, but so many mitzvahs have a Zman. They live in time. And even the mitzvahs that don't have a Zman, you'll say Hagisa boy, Yoimam V'Layla. There's day and there's night. Right. So he says, Kol HaTorah v'Mitzvahs, Torah mitzvahs, Liyas Le'Dira B'Tachtoin. The function of Torah mitzvahs is to create a dira. A dira is a home for Ein Sof, where B'Tachtoinim, in the lowest element of reality, which is completely under the tyranny of space-time. There's space and there's time. And all Torah mitzvahs relate to space and time. You speak about kilayim, for example. There's a Masechta kilayim of hybrid. You're dealing with space. All halachas of agriculture, Eretz Yisrael, Chutz La'aretz, you're dealing with space. You speak about Shemitah or Shabbos or Erevin or Psachim, you're always dealing either with space or with time or a person's interaction with both of them. If you go out of the world of limitation, if you go out of the world of Gvul, of Zman and Makim, there's no Torah mitzvahs. Because Torah mitzvahs, the function was dira b'tachtoinim, meaning to make a dira for infinity within the finite universe, within the finite heart, within the finite world. B'meila v'chal ha'olam b'salyonim b'tachtoinim heim b'zman. Because as we said, even olam b'salyonim, the moment is ratzoi v'shoiv, which is a paradox, Zman is formed. The question is how expansive it is or how contracted it is. But Zman is formed. It could be Elef Shanim, like a day, that's true. What takes me 1,000 years is really one day. Yeah? One rega. But the moment is Bria, there's Ratziv V'Shoiv. The moment is Ratziv V'Shoiv, there's an inyan of Zman. How Zman works, that evolves. And again, even within our universe, Zman is completely relative. Right? The faster something goes, the slower the time. You're traveling almost with the speed of light, and your time slows down very, very significantly. It's hard to understand, but that's the truth. Zman and Makam are relative. It's another dimension of the Bria. It's literally another dimension of the Bria. It correlates, but the Zman doesn't operate in the same Nekudna. In other words, what's seen now as the future in a higher world is not the future, it's the present. Ezo Chacham Harayas Hanoilad, right? Yeah? What's the pshat? Ezo Chacham Harayas Hanoilad? A person could see the future. In a higher world, it's not future, it's present. That's why there's much less taivas in the higher worlds. Most taivas, what gives them the koyach? You don't see what's going to happen in an hour. You eat this piece of food or you do this. If you would feel what's happening in an hour right now, it's a litzanas, there's nothing to it. Most taivas in the world only exist because at the moment it's very promising. In an hour you're going to regret it. In a day you're going to regret it. In 6 months you're for sure going to regret it. But 6 months, who's thinking about 6 months? I'm thinking about now. So the moment there's man, that's already connected to Bria. Shehu kerega lefonav yisbarach. The problem is the whole zman is a rega. It's like a rega. It's like one moment. B'meile v'tzorich lezeh kama b'chines v'tzimtzumim v'ishtalshlus sheyi b'chines zman. So in order to create from Ein Sof, there should be zman. And all of zman, all of time is like one moment. You need scores of tzimtzumim, of filters, of contractions, of evolutions. That there should be able to be a concept of Zman that's so real, it's so concrete, that we live in it, and we must take it very seriously. That's the Yud. The concept of all the tzimtzum, of all the restrictions, all the contractions is that atzmusai, the essence, which is completely beyond time, should be concealed. The Ein Sof should be, so to speak, suspended. V'yishra, and the Ein Sof should dwell in Zman, in time, and in Gvul, in finiteness. And the whole Torah mitzvahs operates on that level. God says, yes, yes, yes. It has to be from 8 in the morning till 9 in the morning. And after 9 in the morning, it's over. Really? Forget 8 to 9. From the beginning of history till the end of history is one rega. So now you're going to tell me that this is significant? But that's the chiddush of the tzimtzum. The chiddush of the tzimtzum is that God says, I dwell within your hour. I dwell within your minute. From a higher perspective, you can get so cynical and call it all one big mockery, one big joke. Your space is not serious and your time is not serious. But that's the relationship that creation formed, that Nesava Kadosh Baruch Hu liyus loydira, we're b'tachtoinim. Tachtoinim doesn't mean in the higher elements of reality, it means in the lowest elements of reality, including the lower perceptions of reality. But that requires a tremendous tzimtzum, a tremendous transformation from Ein Sof, where all of time melts away and doesn't even exist. It's as though it doesn't exist. It's mamish like the passing of a nanosecond. Imagine you take a second. It doesn't take long for a second to pass. And imagine you take that second and you split it up into 1 billion pieces. Yeah? And 1 billionth of that second, how long does that take to pass? And how serious can you take that? How seriously can you take it? It's like, even the most sensitive person, how seriously can you take it? So you could look at a whole creation and say it's less than that. Huh? Right. So that's the chiddush of the tzimtzum, that the Ein Sof should rest in the Zman, that because this is your world, this is what's called Tachtoinim, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to live. That's the Yud. V'achakach b'chinas Hey. Then you have the Hey, Shehu is Pashtus. Hey is much more expansive than the Yud. And you see the picture of the Hey. Oirich v'roichev. It expands both in length and in breadth. The Hey expands in both directions. There's the Hey, the roof of the Hey, the horizontal component of the Hey, and the vertical component of the Hey on both sides. So this is the Hispashtus. The Yud is Hispashtus, because the Yud is still, it's all contracted in this tiny, tiny little Yud. But from this Yud, now there becomes a whole Hispashtus, a ganze Welt. Yeah. We learned in the previous Maimon from Rabbi Hillel about the Shiva de Nechemta, the whole system of the calendar, with Tisha B'Av and Mashiach, etc., the new idea of the Rebbe. So he says you always start off with the Yud, which means he has to condense. If he's just going to express himself to the student, it's going to go way over his head. He has to condense it into a little tiny ball, which represents only a very contracted and filtered fragment of his knowledge. But now that Yud becomes a Hey. It must be expanded and elaborated and explained. From his perspective, it's a Yud, but from the student's perspective, it's not a Yud. It's a beautiful Shir. It's magnificent. From the teacher's perspective, it's just a little tiny Yud. It's a little Nakuda. From the student's perspective, that Yud becomes a Hey. Hispashtus Eirich V'Reich. V'acher kach Vav. But then there's the Vav. Remember, back to that mashal, it's actually a very good mashal. The Hey must begin in the mind of the teacher. Because just condensing all your knowledge and throwing out everything you know in order to give a shir, so you're left with a little yud, because you're in a state of tzimtzum, now you have to expand it. But then there's the Vav. What's a Vav? Look at the Vav. Vav is Amshacha. Vav literally, it's like a channel. It's like a channel. It's Amshacha. It's a communication of energy from a higher place to a lower place. That's what a Vav is. Like somebody creates a line of communication, a pipe, a channel. Shu Amshacha b'shamayim imal v'laretz mitochas u'ledalet sitrin b'chines Vav k'tzavas. It must come down to heaven above, to earth below, 4 sides, which is also connected to the Vav, not only because the shape of the Vav, but also the number of the Vav, 6 dimensions. East and west, and south and north, and Maila and Mata, above and on bottom. V'gam shamayim ruchinim, shem b'chines ava, v'yira, shamaya. And the 6 dimensions don't only exist physical, but even like everything, it begins in the spiritual realms. 1 dimension is love, and 1 dimension is awe, fire, and water. They represent the 6 spheres from Chesed through Yesod. V'zeu b'chinas havav shu amshachas elikusay memayla lamata. The vav represents that elikus flows down from higher to lower. V'acha kach b'chinas hey tata. And then you have the last hey. The last hey is the way the student absorbs the expansion within his own realm. So you have the yud and the hey and the vav and the hey. The yud is the original tzimtzum. In order for infinity to be able to dwell in a world of finiteness, which requires a tremendous tzimtzum. What he puts, as he puts it here, silek atzmusa mikol v'kol. The whole essence must be, at least from our perspective, suspended, silek, like removed, because if it's present, there's no room for zman, for makom, for gvul. That's the yud. Then there becomes the hey, that itself now expands. Now there's the vav, which is the communication to the student, to the world, and then there's the hey, the way it's absorbed, what's called hey tata, the lower hey, the way it's absorbed by the student. In all of the evolution of all the worlds, from world to world, you'll always have 4 stages. Nasa, tzimtzum, hispashtus, hamshacha, hispashtus. Yud, hey, vav, hey. Tzimtzum, hispashtus, hamshacha, hispashtus. Tzimtzum is the restriction, the complete contraction. Hamshacha, hispashtus is expansion. Hamshacha is the flow of communication. Lahamshich is to draw something down. And then there's the final hispashtus. In every world, you'll have these 4 letters, the yud and the hey and the vav and the hey. V'lachei nikra olam miloshin helam. That's why all the worlds have the one common name, which is olam. Olam, the root of olam is the word helam. Helam means concealment. Why? Shehelam v'histir atzmusa yizbarach. Because it's not a detail in the world, it's the definition of the world. A name in Lashon Kodesh is not stam a name, we need a name. It's the definition. Why would you define the universe as concealment? You could say this is a place of concealment. No. It's called Olam because that's its definition. Because the definition of the world is finiteness. The definition of the world is space-time matter. The definition of the world is a sense of detachment. I'm on my own. That's the definition. The definition of all that is concealment. There's the helam of atzmusay. There's the helam of the core essence of the truth, which transcends time, which transcends finiteness, which transcends space. And if that would be manifested, everything would appear as is, an expression of infinity. So olam is miloshin helam. V'zeu tshuva kadma la'olam. But there's one thing that brings us to a place that's pre-helam. Kadma la'olam. You go before the helam. What's that? That's what tshuva is. Tshuva is the yearning to go to a place that's pre-helam, pre-olam, pre-concealment. Kadma la'olam. Okay. There's a long bracket here, but go after the brackets. It's like 7, 8 lines after the brackets. V'zel pirush hayichud. That's why before mitzvah, before davening in the morning, we say l'shem yichud, Kutchabrichu Shchinte. Liyachad Hashem Yutke Bevavke. V'zel Pirish HaYichud. What's the Yichud? The Yichud is, before a Jew gets up in the morning and starts davening, we have to acknowledge something. I wake up in the morning and I'm under the impression that there is a world that's detached. There's a world that's fragmented. Everything is finite. Time controls me. The past is completely beyond me. A different space has no connection to me. It's a world of fragmentation. It's a world of concealment. So the first thing the Jew does is he revolutionizes his perception of the universe. How does he revolutionize it? He says, L'shem yichud. What's going to happen now in my day is, my job is to unify. My job is to create achdus. What do I want to unify? He says, after the tzimtzum v'spashtus k'may koydem l'chein b'lishum shin. To be able to understand that the concealment is only a matter of perception. An important perception. It's God wanted that perception. It's not a mistake. We're not crazy. That's the point. Dira b'tachtoinim means tachtoinim, not alyoinim. Tachtoinim means tachtoinim. But my job is to make a dira b'tachtoinim, to create fusion between the world of fragmentation and the world of harmony. To be able to reveal that the achdus after tzimtzum and pashtus is the same achdus like before tzimtzum and pashtus. To use that parable of the previous maimer that we learned is that the student and the teacher can ultimately experience fusion. There could be the ultimate alignment between the two worlds. Between the world of pre-tzimtzum and pashtus and the world post-tzimtzum and pashtus. You say, what do you mean fusion? This world is a post-tzimtzum world. There's no fusion. That's the chiddush of l'shem yichud. In our world, the yichud, the unity, is not wholesome. It's not completed. It's not experienced in the most complete way until Mashiach comes. Then the pasuk says, the Navi says, ayin ba'ayin yiru, which literally means we'll see eye to eye. What does it mean we'll see eye to eye? We will see reality the way Hashem sees reality. It's like you say, I want you should see with me eye to eye, ayin ba'ayin. Your eye and my eye should perceive the same reality. Now it's not that way. My ayin perceives one reality, your ayin perceives another reality. Then it's going to be ayin ba'ayin yiru. We're going to meet eye to eye. We'll see reality eye to eye. And the pasuk says, "V'nigla kvoid Hashem v'ro chol basar yachtav kifi Hashem dibber." V'ro chol basar. Basar means the flesh, the physical, material flesh of everyone will perceive the truth of reality.
He doesn't get into it, presumably.
Yeah, that's it. That's liyachad Hashem Yutke bevavke. Yutke vavke. Yutke is the way the teacher experiences the idea, where there's a tzimtzum and then a hispashtus. Vavke is the way the lower world experiences it. Liyachad Hashem Yutke bevavke is to create the fusion between the two, which is kutchabrichu, transcendence, and shchinte, which comes from the word v'shachanti, where it's contracted. In higher states of reality, even now there could be a deeper yichud. That's why we say Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. In the famous tefillah, what do we say? That v'hoifa, what's the lashon? V'hoifa ba'adar go'inu zechal kol yoshvei sevel artzecha. V'yeda kol pol kiyata pa'alte. V'yovin kol yitzur kiyata yitzarte. V'yoymar koil asher neshama v'apoy Hashem Elokei Yisrael melech u'malchusay b'kol mashal. Says, what does it mean? V'zel v'hoifa b'adar go'inu zecha. Appear with the hadar, with the splendor. Go'inu zecha. Go'inu zecha is appear, v'hoifa appear, with the splendor of go'inu zecha, with the exaltedness or the greatness of your strength. Pirush sheyoiru hayudin v'havavin shem b'chines tzimtzumim v'ishtalshalos hamshachas v'ha'aras oir elyin oirin seif baruch hu yoiru gam lemata mata filu boilam hazah. That the yudin and the vavin, which represent tzimtzumim yuds are tzimtzumim, and vavs is the evolution of the hamshacha. So they should become luminescent. They should become channels of the Oir Elyon of Ein Sof. Not to nullify the Yud and the Hey. If you nullify them, there's no world anymore. They should become hamshachas, channels for the Ein Sof. Even down here, v'yeda kol pol kiyatapalti, the koyal kol abruyim. V'soif hamaymer meichiach. The end of the tefillah proves it. Shekol yedu v'yasigu elakusa yizbarach. Ki efes zulasa. V'yeda kol pol kiyatapalti means Rosh Hashanah. A Jew is not satisfied that he and his community will know the Ein Sof. That's not what we daven Rosh Hashanah. A Jew should get up Rosh Hashanah and daven for himself, his family, nachas from the kinder. No, v'yeda kol pol kiyata piyalta. Who's kol pol? Kol pol is it's negeya for him that the Eskimos in Alaska or somebody on the tip of China, and that's even people. V'yeda kol pol is every created being should their hair. Should know the emes. Shahakal yedu v'yasigu alakusi yizbarach ki efes zulasai. Like we say in Aleinu, that there's really nothing outside of oneness, of achdus. Everything is part of Ein Sof. That's negeya to him. Shazel la'asid love. This is what we say by Aleinu, right? Yakiru v'yedu kol yoshvei sevel. Shekol kach yoyer v'yizgala Ein Sof baruch hu. So much will the Ein Sof be manifested at sheyei nitfes gamken b'seichel anushi umusig b'hasaga gashmas. That seichel anushi, human intellect, which grasps what we usually grasp, what will it grasp? It will be teifes, the truth of infinity. Umusig b'hasaga gashmas. It will be comprehended like we understand something physical. Just like you can understand and see something physical, the Ein Sof will be intuitive, not counterintuitive. Mashenkim is man she'en gilu Ein Sof, ela b'nefesh ela kis shel oivdei Hashem. Where before that time, there's also Ein Sof, but where is it revealed? It's revealed in the godly soul of oivdei Hashem. The godly soul of oivdei Hashem means that always, remember, the concept of Mashiach is a concept always. It's a certain reality, it's a certain perspective. But in the nefesh ela kis of the oivdei Hashem, that's where it's experienced. In the godly soul of the one who's an Oved Hashem. The one who serves Hashem, he or she lives in this reality. That's not the Chiddush of Mashiach. The Chiddush of Mashiach is v'yeda kol pol kiyatapalt. It will be the intuitive experience of the body, of the physicality, within the physicality, within the Seichel Anushi, and therefore every nivra. Va'av gam zois, and today, even that which the Oved Hashem does experience, ein b'bchinas hasaga, el b'bchinas emunah she'yirusha meyavos. Still not with a full hasaga. More concept of emunah or inheritance from the Avos. A Jew has a connection, a relationship. Still not fully comprehended. V'lechein ksiv lo asid lo, but when Mashiach comes, k'sheyizgala Ein Sof baruch hu, when the Ein Sof will be revealed, we say, the Navi says they're going to go into caves and to clefts and to tunnels from the awe, from the fear of Hashem and from the splendor of his greatness. The presence will be so powerful. The Yudin and the Vavin that we spoke about, will be revealed, and b'meila after the brackets, tipol eime v'fachad begashmi mimamish min hamara hagadol hazeh asher yiru v'yasigu asher yiru kol basar v'yasigu poyel elakim bekerev haaretz halazu hagashmi is b'seichel anushi hagashmi shelo yehi gashmi is ha'olam v'ha'adam mailim u'master al Hashem. It's not that there's going to be a fear, some conceptual thing. He says the Gashmi Mamish, the physical reality Mamish, will experience this awe from this Mara Hagadol, from this great observation, from this great Mara, that every basar will see and comprehend the reality of Elikim in the physical earth with the human physical brain and mind. In other words, it's going to be as real as anything physical and brute. Why? Because now the Gashmius of Adam and Olam is mastered. It eclipses. But the physicality of the world and the human being will not eclipse in any way. The Eir Hashem, that's the full Dira B'Tachtoinim, where the Ein Sof becomes manifested within the world of Zman, within the world of Makim, even in the lowest place of Gashmis. V'yeda kol pol ki ata palta.
That won't be there of Tachtonim anymore. Because at that point, it won't be Tachtonim in the sense of Tachtonim, meaning the Rosh one, the Savo, the Tachtonim, where there's Helen, because there won't be Helen.
So that's a good question. You want to know what's going to make it Tachtonim? It's going to be Elyonim.
I think it's a question in the sense that that's the goal. That's the goal. You want
Right.
it,
Right, but the Chiddush is that it's much deeper than before creation. Before creation, there was no finiteness. Here, the Chiddush is that it's going to be, as he puts it, through the Yudin and through the Vavin, meaning through those very vehicles that were eclipsing the truth, they themselves become the vehicles of revelation. So that's a whole different Chiddush. You understand what I'm saying? It's not that those vehicles are going to be nullified. Within the time and within the space and within the finiteness, it's like the mashal of the teacher and the student, that the mashal itself becomes the vehicle of revelation. At one point, the mashal was a vehicle of concealment. And then, after 40 years, we learned in the Maimon V'Yadaita, the mashal itself becomes the vehicle of revelation. Because really, it's just a mashal. Really, the Gashmi is not a vehicle of concealment. It's just a mashal. In other words, when I look at Zman, what do I see? I just see time. It just goes, and it's brutal and it's endless. When the truth will be revealed, you will see that the Zman itself is just a manifestation of a certain language of divinity being expressed. The language of Ratzoi, the language of Shoiv. So in the ultimate unity, it's the fusion. It's not the obliteration of one realm. There won't be a different type of time. That's the Vart. The Vart is, there'll be the unity. The unity. You'll be able to see in the very reality of what we experience today, what it really is. In other words, it's not a different world. Right. It's not a different world. It's the same world. That's the Vart.
That was the verse of Sheila that you had said about
live throughout time.
Yeah.
Time keeps on going, but
Yeah. Yes, it's a perspective, yeah. Geula is the Aleph and the Goila, right? It's the same Nakuda.
the Sheila that you had said in terms of why there's no Schar V'Onish, why the Torah does tell us Schar V'Onish. But what we see is the Schar V'Onish of the
Shalah, yeah.
The law of the Nigla is really the
It's
same
Nista, yeah.
Schar V'Onish as
Exactly, that's what it is. You're reading the Torah wrong. You hear a hand, so you see a hand. It's not your, that's what you see.
So the godly particles will be revealed.
The godly particles will be revealed.
What Rabbi Litzman said before, when I was asking something before about saying that when we have these moments that we see light turning on a dime, we're sort of touching divinity because of the lack of Zman. So Rabbi Litzman said this is Teshuvah. So he's interesting what he said, because the whole Rambam's whole Lashem, Emesh Hayozes Sonu.
Emesh, V'hayoyim is transformation.
It's a transformed time, it's a nothingness.
More than why don't we speak that language in Shikodesh? It's supposed to be the soccer.
It's a beautiful question. So in Torah the Balatanya writes in Parshas Mishpatim that the Gemara was written in Aramaic because that's part of the birur of the world. In other words, Lashon Kodesh represents the language, which is the divine language with which the world was created, right? Other languages don't capture that same reality. Yeah, after the Der HaFlaga, there was a split of all the nations. They're rooted in it. You're saying they come from there? Right. Right. So he says when we speak in Gemara, the other languages, it's mevarer those languages. The languages of those nations with which they spoke, also they all have sparks, holy sparks. So it brings it all back to the source. That's why already in Chumash itself you have words that are not mamash lashon kodesh, like toitafos, yigar sahadusa. There's different words. It says that Yaakov called it galed and Lavan called it yigar sahadusa. Or toitafos by Tefillin, Rashi says, comes from Afriki. Toitafos is tat, pas. It says already in Chumash itself. So one of the ideas is that it elevates the languages of the whole world. part of this. Or to put it differently, speaking about in terms of language, you have to speak to everybody in their language, right? If you speak in your language, you're not going to connect. So we speak the language of the world. We don't only speak the language of Lashon Kodesh. You speak the language of the world in order to lift up the world. If I'm going to a particular person, I don't speak his language, I'm not going to help him.
Look, computers. Ultimately, everything goes out for assembly.
Yeah. The computer has to understand it.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.